Previously
on overtime. We've been gone for a while. You lose track of a lot of things. So
that's okay. We needed a break after all the finals and all the projects. Even before we get into like overtime.
Yeah, just before.
Just the game in general. It was a really good game. It was really exciting. I was actually at the game on Monday.
Did you actually ended up going?
I was at the game on Monday, and let me tell you, like the atmosphere is just outrageous. It's incredible.
I can imagine. You didn't invite me.
Here's the deal. If we played the way that we did last night, with all that hype and like we started playing a physical game, kind of like game 2 when we won. That's how we have to play against Boston.
It's a sparked up debate. Should pitchers out there wear helmets or not? Some of the arguments are the pitchers are going to feel uncomfortable with the helmet or some sort of protection because they just want to solely focus on delivering the pitch. As you like deliver a pitch. I just hit the microphone.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. By the way, I'm sorry for any Vancouver fans, but you blow a 3-2 lead in the third, and you lose in overtime. I mean, sure, that happened to the Leafs, but at least it didn't cost them the series.
Absolutely.
So for overtime, I'm Chris. I'm Jose. What in the world? I am not Chris. I have not been Chris for the past 19 years. Oh my god. Yeah. La 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 la. Oh boy. Welcome to Overtime, guys. I'm Jose, and Chris is not here. He's gonna come in a little bit. He's actually running a little bit late, so I'm currently by myself at the moment. So again, this is Overtime with Jose and Chris, but Chris, oh boy, he isn't here. So I'm gonna try to see how long I can go for by myself. I'll see what I can do because I was we're running a bit out of time, so I gotta start it somehow. So yep, this is episode 6 of Overtime. I get minus a co-host for now, but hopefully he'll be here in time. And I guess before I start the show, I just as I was editing that intro, looking back at it, I laughed really hard, especially when the only reason why I was laughing. I don't know if you guys caught that, but I ended up saying a couple weeks ago that the Vancouver Canucks are a joke or are really crazy for having to blow their lead to lose the series in overtime, and yet that happened to our Toronto Maple Leafs. It will happen a couple weeks ago, and for those that are not asking, before I go on, something came up last week, which is why we're doing this today, and we were supposed to do it last week, but something came up for the show, so now we're doing episode 6 today. So just to clear that up, and we're gonna be talking about today. Hopefully, as Chris comes by a little later on, excuse me. The Maple Leafs, of course. That's one thing we're gonna be bringing up. That's one thing I guess I'm gonna try to talk about as much as I can. Then you got Brian Urlacher. This is interesting. I'm gonna switch it over to football because number one, I'm in football gear. Number two, it's actually pretty big news. The linebacker of the Chicago Bears for all 13 seasons, all of his career is retiring. He's calling it a career. I'm going to be talking about that because I do know a little about football and the impact that he made for the Chicago Bears from his rookie years to leading him to a big part of the Super Bowl team in 2006. And last but not least, the Blue Jays. That's another thing we're going to be bringing up as well. The walk-off, we're slowly starting to pick it up. That's slowly starting to come intact, so thank goodness. And I guess we're gonna try to wrap it up with the random picks of the week, or the picks of the week or the random sport. So again, if you're wondering why I'm by myself, if you guys didn't catch it, Chris isn't here at the moment. He's running a little bit late. Something came up again, so hopefully my co-host comes to me in time. Somehow survived 4 minutes by myself, but we'll see how it goes. Now I would bring up the Leafs first, but obviously I'm not saying that I don't know much about hockey, but it'd be nice to have my co-host here. So first I'm going to bring up Brian Urlacher. If you don't know who Brian Urlacher is, he was a huge defenseman. He was a huge beast, in my opinion, rather, with the Chicago Bears. I remember him so well, especially with the Bears playoff run. The Bears playoff run to the Super Bowl 41 in Miami, about 5 or 6 years ago. And again, anytime I look at this guy, it was huge. The guy was a monster nonetheless. The guy knew how to tackle. He knew how to rush. He brought fear into his opponents. And obviously, when I heard the news yesterday, it was a surprise to say the least. To hear that Brian Urlacher was retiring, I thought that he still had a good, I'd say about 3 to 4 years to go. It is again. I'm gonna keep repeating myself again, only because I'm by myself here. It's a surprise. I mean, he was an impact. It was like somebody. He made the Chicago Bears defense for so many years. He was a big part of it, and the fact that he's leaving, it caught me surprised. It's like you wonder what are the Chicago Bears gonna do now. How's how I see it. And of course, they haven't been doing well lately. And of course, since that Super Bowl run, which eventually they lost to the Colts, it was surprising. The defense really, the Bears really haven't shaped up to what they were to be. I'm just gonna pull up the stats here. Give me a second. I know I'm not really prepared. I'm gonna keep emphasizing this. I'm by myself. Boy. Here we go. Of course. This is interesting. Actually, just pulling them out. Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay Packers quarterback, said it was his favorite player to play against, and if you come, and that's coming from somebody who's a big rival against the Bears. The Packers and the Bears go way back, and if you have like a star quarterback, especially from the rival team, to praise a linebacker from the rival team, that should be a clear emphasis on how great and how big this is, how big Brian Urlacher was. He says, and I quote, "I just have the utmost amount of respect for him, the way he plays the game." During the visit, a lot of memories come to mind. He picked me up a couple times, maybe more than anybody else has, but had a really bad play in the NFC Championship game after the 2010 season, and was where was it? And I was able to somehow grab his knee, dive him, trip him up for a tackle, and prevent a touchdown. One of my favorite memories is going against Brian Urlacher. So, again, it came up as a big surprise. You know, I'm on Twitter yesterday. And I saw that, and I said, "Wow, you know, that's again like I am thinking he could go a little bit longer." But you know, I think to me he has a hell of a career. He had one crazy career, and of course the questions already sparked up the minute that he retired. Is he a Hall of Famer or not? Now that's let's see. Thinking back on that, I want to say maybe. I mean, you know, again, he was a huge part of Chicago, right? But, of course, when it comes to mind with Brian Urlacher, like, you know, he didn't eventually get that Super Bowl ring. Although he was a big threat and a big fear for any offense that they faced, you know, wasn't really them. I'm just pulling up another article here. But, again, like, debates. Let me see. He was a 5-time All-Star. He was an NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. NFL Defensive Player of the Year 2005. Sorry, 8 All-Star, 8 Pro Bowl appearances, not 5. 3 straight years that included in 2000. He knew how to cover the area. He was considered one of the best coverage linebackers in the game. He finishes his career with 1,353 tackles, 41.5 quarterback sacks, and 22 picks. That's not bad. That's not bad for a linebacker who normally gets the rush, but you know. He did a heck of a job, I think. So I think he could be. I think he could be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I just feel like he's gonna go down as one of the linebackers who didn't win a Super Bowl. That one Super Bowl that got away from him. So yeah, that's all I got to say about that. So congratulations to Brian Urlacher. Again, emphasizing a heck of a career. Great job for that. And oh boy, this is our episode 6 again, overtime. I'm still by myself. As you can see, guys, it is really tough to try to do this on your own. But yeah, Chris is running late. I have no idea where he is. Hopefully, he comes back soon. I think the next topic that I'm gonna pick up is on the Toronto Blue Jays, who surprisingly done very well. I actually, surprisingly, as a last-minute decision on Monday, the day of, I had a friend text me and he said, "You want to go to the game?" So I actually went to the game on Monday. There was a afternoon game for Victoria Day. R.A. Dickey pitched, so I finally got to see R.A. Dickey. It was a guy who had been waiting for so long to see him pitch, and that knuckleball in person is insane. It's actually really cool to see. Of course, I mean, I was actually pretty close at the hundreds level, like just in the last row of the section I was in. But the fact that it's still level 100 is still like great seats, great view, great view of the left fielder. Almost like when I went on my second game, like I had like the center field seats, another great view as well. But anyways, So yeah, I was at the game, and the Blue Jays, they were winning 2-0, and the Rays started coming back little by little. I mean, I think at one point it was tied, but eventually the Blue Jays cleared out Encarnacion cleared out those bases, and he wins the game for the Blue Jays 7-5. So that was a big relief. But I don't know if you guys have been noticing, and of course there was always so much criticism. A lot of criticism. There we go. A lot of criticism to start the season. Right now they're 17-26. Their pitching isn't working. Their bats aren't awake. And of course, people say, "Oh, from World Series contenders, so that's it. They're done." I've seen the pessimists on Twitter. I've seen the pessimists in person, and they're saying, "Oh, they're done. They're pretty much done." Yep, 19-27. That's their record right now. But the Blue Jays are slowly, like I said, starting to pick up the pace. I think I said in an overtime episode a little while back. It is a slow start of the season, and it's only May now. A month and a half into the season, and they're picking up on it. They're picking up on it. The knuckle. Ari Dickey's starting to come back a little bit. He's 4-5. His knuckleball's starting to be a little bit better over the plate. The bats are waking up. Jose Bautista with a huge game yesterday. For the only reason why the Blue Jays won 4-3 in extra innings, he was a big part of every run that came in yesterday. His bats are picking up. Melky Cabrera starting to pick up. Of course, we all saw the slow start. The errors, I guess, are still a little bit there. Kawasaki, I've been noticing he's still have a little bit iffy on the errors, but he's slowly starting to pick up. And Jose Reyes, even he's actually getting a lot better. He's actually getting faster than expected. He's healing faster. He's actually out on the field. He's with the Blue Jays now. He's still taking slow steps. He could be back way before the All-Star break, hopefully. So it's good to see that the Blue Jays are picking it up. It's good to see that the Blue Jays are slowly coming back to what they should be, I guess. When you have the whole World Series caliber on you, it's nice to see that they're starting to live up to the expectations. But anything can still happen. Injuries of course happen. You lose Josh Johnson, you lose J Happ. The pitchers from the minor leagues are starting to come up, and of course that's obviously a concern. How it cost us our season last year. But again, it's getting there. It's thankfully getting there. So I'm not complaining. I'm still gonna be a diehard fan. If there are any pessimists out there, go right ahead. You can tweet at us at Overtime with WJC. I've been putting up the Twitter account online. So again, any opinions, any thoughts, any views on the discussions that we talk about at the shows, or anything that you want us to bring up, go ahead and tweet at us at Overtime with Overtime WJC. It's there. If you guys think that the Blue Jays are still gonna crash, go right ahead, bring it on. So it's a slow. We'll see how the rest picks up, but they're improving. That's the good thing. Oh, okay. I'm 13 minutes in, and my co-host still isn't here. Chris is nowhere to be seen. So what I'm gonna do is actually, because I do gotta check up on him. Not that he's dead or anything, guys. I'm not that he's gone, but I gotta see where this is at. So I'm gonna stop it for now, and I'm gonna, I guess when I edit this, I'm just gonna come back to hopefully with Chris. We'll see how we go through, because I can only go for so long with going by myself. So when I come back, or at least when we start this up again, or at least when I start recording again, hopefully Chris is here. So we'll see how it goes. I'll be back. All right, there he is. There's Chris.
Hello.
What happened?
My bad, guys. My apologies.
What happened?
I went out for lunch, kind of got lost in the time. I was enjoying the beautiful weather. Now it's kind of cloudy. So, my apologies.
It's okay. All right, so I went through 13 minutes.
Yeah.
On my own. I brought up Brian Urlacher. He retired yesterday. Okay. That was a surprise. I talked a bit about the Blue Jays. And I know it's something that you don't want to talk about, but the Leafs.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
What happened? Just briefly, I'm just going to summarize briefly. Urlacher, great career.
Yeah.
I don't know if you followed the NFL. Great career.
I do.
Surprising to say the least yesterday to hear the news.
Yeah.
I wish nothing for the best for him. We'll see how it goes. Blue Jays slowly picking it up. They're slowly coming back.
Yep.
Of course, I went to the game Monday, talked about that.
Nice.
And now I was gonna bring up. You missed the intro, but like I brought up on the radio a couple weeks ago. I said that I left to Vancouver for blowing a lead in regulation and losing the series in overtime, and that literally happened to us almost 7 days later.
Oh yeah. You know what? I'll just get right into it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll talk about the Leafs. I know we haven't touched upon it because we've been on hiatus for a bit, but people are saying, oh, like it was an accomplishment for getting like that far. Fine, I understand that. But at the same time, that doesn't excuse a 4-1 lead with 10 minutes to go.
Agreed.
Like, fine, people might like, oh, well, you weren't supposed to be there in the first place, or you weren't supposed to beat Boston. Well, you know what? At the end of the day, experience is kind of what beat us. I wouldn't say it was the better team because, as you can see, we outplayed them.
Oh, so many times.
And for the players that we have, like, I know we don't have any superstars. Like, we have Bozak, that's like our number one center.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, you put him on another team, he's, second or third line center. But it works for us. So, like I can't hate on, like, him being a number one center. You gotta work with what you got. And everyone's like, oh, well, Leafs shouldn't have been there. I'm like, well, no. For what they have, they played, like, fairly well, and they figured out Boston.
They did. I mean,
they figured out Boston. And you got to give them something for that.
That's what everybody seems to forget. I mean, everybody said it. The Leafs will lose in 4. I said the Leafs will lose in 5. Eventually, they said the Leafs will lose. They will not make it to Game 7. And they shut everybody up. They shut me up. They shut you up. They shut everybody
Well, actually,
up.
I called the Game 7.
Oh, you called the Game 7. Okay, I didn't. The only reason why I didn't call Game 7 because it's Boston, right? I mean, for the past 2 seasons, they've been sweeping the season. They at least only beat them once in like about 10 tries. And the fact that you force 7 is just...
Yeah.
It's like it's like those games never happened. It was
Absolutely.
like a brand.
Well, it was never supposed to happen, right? Everyone was calling like the Leafs to be swept and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and the thing is, like, I knew it was going to be a good series after watching the very first game, and within the first minute, we scored. We were up like 1-0.
Oh yeah.
We went to lose. Like, we went on to lose that game, but everybody that I was with, like my one buddy Tyler, as soon as they scored. He's like, the Leafs are sweeping Boston. He's like, the Leafs are winning in 4. And then, like, a few minutes later they scored.
I was watching my brother act and like in my old high school, and of course as he's acting, we're getting the phones out and we're like, okay, we'll see how it goes. We're probably gonna lose. And we see the score. I'm like, they just scored. Like, what? Of course, we can't scream because he's acting. It would be rude. But we're like, they just scored, guys.
Yeah.
And, like, of course, like, okay. Then that goal came in, then the go-ahead goal, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But, again, Game 7, I remember, like, I was just going screaming at every goal that came in. I'm like, this is going to happen. And then 4-2, and my dad's like, oh, it's okay. It's only 4-2. I'm like, Dad, it might be only 4-2, but don't say anything. He's like, oh, don't worry. And a minute, if this is going to be repeated for so many years, a minute 22.
Yeah.
A minute 22, and then 50 seconds, and we shut up.
Here's the thing, like, like, it was a good thing and a bad thing. I don't know how to look at it, but I'll give it, like, one of those. So, basically, we made history. So, it's kind of I guess it's a bad and a bad, so, but anyway. So, we were the only team in history to blow a 4-1 lead in a Game 7. In a Game 7 to blow a 4-1 lead. And also with 10 minutes to go. Like, so if you want to have an upside, we made history.
Yeah,
but it wasn't for the best. It wasn't for the best thing.
And and after the game, I remember, like, I felt like, I mean, I looked at it as Vancouver 2010. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
The tying with 24 seconds, Parisi scoring that goal. I remember what I did was I retreated to hugging a pillow, lying down on my couch, hoping for the best. And of course I jumped up, and I'm like, that game, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do it again. So I did, and of course I see a goal from Boston, and just like I was very sad, but nothing much you can do. My dad's like, what happened? I'm like, it's over.
You know what? I was watching it with 2 of my good buddies. And we were watching all the games together. I even went to one of the games too. Actually, I went to Game 4. No.
Outside this time? Or was it the one that you outside? I think you brought it up.
Yeah.
Game 4 or 3, you were outside.
I think it was Game 4 because it went Boston, Toronto. So it was Game 4.
Game 4. I think you did bring that up last week. I think that was played in the replay.
It was absolutely awesome. We ended up losing, but despite the
it was
fact,
Game 4. Yeah.
It was awesome. But like even with that, like you can't go anywhere else in like the NHL or even in the world and have that kind of support system with like a losing team.
It was
Like we haven't made the playoffs in 9 years, but yet
it was like it never left. It's I mean, you know, and
you don't get that in any other city. You really don't, because if your team loses and they haven't made the playoffs or just like they're not a good team, you better believe your fans aren't filling the seats.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Regardless of the losing season, there was always a sold out ACC. There was always so much hype, and regardless, of course, when this happens, it's the city's going nuts. I mean, we didn't even win a Stanley Cup, but it was insane. And I was like, this is actually happening.
If we ended up beating Boston in Game 7, which we should have, this place would have been unreal.
Maybe we would be leading 3-0 against the New York Rangers. Maybe.
Absolutely, we would have, because and here's the thing. So I was watching it with two of my good buddies. We're sitting there. We're up like 4-1. You know, we score. Okay, we got whatever. They tie it 1-1. Now it's like 2-1. Now 3-1. Now 4-1. And they're like, oh yeah, you know, like we're facing the Rangers. I'm like, I was telling them, like, part of my language. I'm like, you shut up. I'm like, the game's not over.
Yeah, I remember like one friend on Facebook. He's like, okay, everybody, nah. I'm like, oh god. And then when the fourth goal came in, I'm like, okay, yeah, goodbye. I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, that's gonna come bite me, and it did.
And it really did. I'm just like, oh, the thing is, like, I can't explain it. I don't know what happened, but basically, even with that 4-1 loss, we blew that lead. There's a lot of changes that need to be happen, or that needs to happen. Because
they're saying Bozak is a free agent. From what I heard, I think, from my opinion, they gotta resign that guy.
For me, Bozak, if he stays or if he goes, it's not huge for me. Like, if he stays, I wouldn't be.
I think it will be. I think
upset.
It will, because I mean, the only reason why I'm saying it, I think it will matter, because throughout Game 7 and Game 6, because he was out for Game 6 and 7, there was problems with the faceoffs. The Leafs gave up a lot
Shane
of
O'Brien actually, he filled his slot pretty well though.
Decently, but you know, it was like one of those at clutch moments. It could have been there.
Well, basically, what won the series too was a mixture between experience, which Boston has because they won the Stanley Cup a few years ago. / they have a lot of playoff experience, and two, just as you can see, there's a correlation between winning and faceoffs. Whether people want to admit it or not. When you're not winning those crucial face-offs, especially in like your zone, because when you do, you're controlling the play.
Exactly, and
from the get-go.
And I feel like it did cost them with that minute 22 to go, with those two eventually tying goals that came, because I felt like it was a puck that could have got out of the area. You have an open net, you know, just literally one tip of the puck out of the blue line, and you're good for another 10 to 20 seconds. You're good to run down the clock.
For me, all of our D need to go.
Really? You're thinking everybody.
Maybe Lyles can stay because he's young and he's still being developed. But for the most part, all of our D basically really need to ship up.
Who do you think? Phaneuf? Who does that include? Or Phaneuf?
Okay. Commissaric, but he was in and out.
Yeah.
Then, like I said, Lyles, he can stay. I'm indifferent to him. And just basically our D line, whoever they may be. Franson, Frazier, he's alright. He was out actually the last few games because he got a puck.
The puck to the head. Yeah.
He's not bad, but he just with him, he's still that grinder player. So all you need is one of those, and we have a few of them on the Leafs. We don't really need that too many. We need more of skilled defensemen, if you will, that can take the shots off the blue line, that can maybe even carry that puck from one end to the other, and just be able to do different things, and also not be afraid to take the body, not be afraid to shoot that puck hard and get it out. That was one thing that actually cost us a few of those goals. The last 3 goals was that we weren't willing to get it out of our zone. We were basically just giving little passes. If you're in the NHL, you know how to pass.
In a game, now you're playing in game 7. Out of all games, it's Game 7.
And you choose not to put any mustard on that pass. If you saw the the overtime goal, I believe it was I think it was Franson.
Oh, so you're going to talk about Leaf? Okay,
and
talk about.
He literally just put it to Bergeron's stick. He had the puck, and instead of actually shooting it out, he literally just went a little soft pass.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what I saw. And then even in the replay, I'm like, what was going through this guy's head that he thought to just go this?
Just tip it, yeah.
And that's somehow all okay. Now it's not even a Game 7. and now it's a Game 7 overtime.
Yeah, it's just.
And that's the stuff that you're pulling.
Well,
you got to reevaluate
kinda,
what you're thinking.
It's kind of sad that for the 47th straight year, there's always next year. I know, it's something we don't want to say, but this was actually, I saw this a couple weeks ago. This is actually something we bring up. Trade Phaneuf for not.
I would trade him.
I'm saying,
get rid of him.
I'm personally saying I only have only one friend who's saying keep him. Apart from him though, and he did bring a valid point. He was he's a good defender. But then at the same time, I have a lot of people saying it's time to get rid of him. And I'm saying if you're going to trade this guy, at least get a first or a second overall draft pick, or at least 2 first-rounders. Because, Phaneuf is still pretty valuable on that aspect. I feel like he could be a person that could bring us 2 draft picks.
You can definitely get something for him. Absolutely. But in the sense of, keep him or get rid of him, I think you need to get rid of him. And a few reasons. One, you saw his display in playoffs. You think he's a leader? I don't think he's a leader. First of all, he doesn't deserve that C, and not only that, to me, he also doesn't deserve his contract. This guy's making $5-6 million a year. That's a huge contract.
Oh yeah,
he doesn't deserve that, and now that's taking up cap space for us. So instead of being able to sign another person, we still got to pay out to this guy.
Just go on topic. The same situation happened. I think I brought this up. Vernon Wells, 8 years, $164 million at the time in 2009, and of course every fan, even me, were like, "What in the world was that?" That was J.P. Ricciardi at the time, and Alex Anthopoulos when he came in. No, bye, shipped him out to Los Angeles, and we bring in the players that are no longer with us, that are not there. But that's just a perfect example. I know what you mean, because the Blue Jays were struggling so much that they couldn't get that player because that was all going to Vernon Wells, and now he's stuck with Yankees. The Yankees are, I guess, the only franchise that are able to pay out that much because they don't give a damn.
See, and the thing with me too is that he didn't even earn that either. It's not it's his signing year, his free agent year. He had an incredible season. That guy Phaneuf hasn't had a good season basically since
he was a Calgary Flame.
But not only that, his rookie season, and then his after that, his first 2.5 years were the only seasons that this guy actually played well. Everything after that, it was a decline. Why do you think Calgary got rid of him? Because he wasn't performing.
Exactly.
He wasn't doing anything. And then us, Toronto, we're we'll pick him up. Because, it's not a bad pickup for Toronto, to be honest. Because, like you said, he does hold some, value. But in my eyes, he's not a captain. He's not a first-line defenseman. He doesn't deserve to be making $5-6 million a year. All those things need to, get out. Those things, to me, are just not acceptable. If he wants to stay with the Leafs, I had this conversation with, a buddy of mine. I'd basically be like, you know what? If you still want to have that C, if you still want to be a first-line defenseman, you need to start. I'd be like, you need to change this, and this.
Yep.
If this isn't changed by, the preseason,
to me, I would say we're getting draft picks.
Basically, we're going to be shipping you out, and if nobody wants you, then guess what? You're also getting bumped down to second, third line defenseman.
There was a tweet last week. Dave Nonis is open to the option of trading him, so we'll see. I guess
he has to be. He has to be.
And then obviously, I was gonna say we had a chance to draft lottery. No, we don't. But once the season ends, we're gonna see how that's gonna go. But I have something tells me deep down that regardless of how Phaneuf is, or regardless of his captain and everything, he's getting shipped out. And I say we're gonna see a new guy in October. I have a gut feeling.
I really hope so, to be honest. I really and truly hope so, because he needs to go. And for also his image is a tough guy.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch all the highlights, or if you watch the Game 7 again, keep note of how many times that guy falls over and how long it takes him to get up. There's no urgency for him to get up.
Mm-hmm.
He takes a good 5 seconds to get up. And for a tough guy, the guy gets hit, barely even touched. The guy's falling over. How do you have that rep of a tough guy? But yet, one, you fall over all the time. Two, you can't even get up. This guy's taking him forever. He's down, holding. It's no. Get up, buddy. Guess what? It's Game 7.
Yep. We'll see how the rest of the off season goes. But for now, we're gonna go with the picks of the week. We got 4 games still. In fact, we got one game we got one team in risk of elimination tonight. That's Boston and New York, and then Pittsburgh's leading 3-1 their series. The Kings and the Sharks surprisingly tied at 2. I'm saying the Kings are gonna ship them out, and Detroit's leading the Red Wings 2-1. So
yeah,
make the picks now. Chicago and Detroit.
That is it. I don't even know. It's kind of a heartbreaker for me, but the way that the Red Wings are playing, I think I might have to take the Red Wings.
That would be a huge upset. The number 7 seed upsetting the number 1 seed. That would be beautiful.
It would be a big upset, but you know what? It was it was an upset to me when they shipped out Anaheim in Game 7. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
It was an upset for me.
The Kings and the Sharks are tied. You know, again, not to be rude, but I always see the Sharks as a choking team. They've been doing that for the past so many years.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That doesn't make sense, but they've been doing it for so long. So that's why I'm saying LA in 6. LA in 6.
Yeah, I'll agree with you with that. Rather maybe Game 6 or Game 7. I don't know, but I'll agree with you that the Kings are gonna take it because I think at this point, it's going to be more of experience that's going to win this series. And also, Jonathan Quick is also just becoming another brick house again.
Exactly.
Like he's standing outside of that crease and nothing's getting by him. So it's hard to play a goalie that's like that.
We got Pittsburgh leading the Senators 3-1. This should be fairly easy actually. I'm going to say Pittsburgh should close out the series in their next game.
It should be fairly easy. Absolutely, but I don't know, maybe I wouldn't be surprised if Ottawa somehow forced a Game 7, but I will go with you with Pittsburgh to be closing.
And it's funny. You even have you have Ottawa's captain Daniel Alfredson saying he doesn't really have faith, and he says, I mean, with their depth in the power play right now, it doesn't look too good for the Senators, and he doesn't even want to talk about his future after. So I mean, if you have your own captain,
basically this is going to be his last year.
If you're having your own captain debating that, even though you're down 3-1, that's not good.
It's not looking good.
Tonight is Game 4, Boston and New York. You think New York would put up a better fight, and they didn't. And now they are 1 game away from saying goodbye to the playoffs.
And Boston's going to take it.
They should take
no
it.
ifs or buts on that one. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And the Rangers is also another of a choking team, which kind of stinks, but it is what it is, and Boston's going to take that.
I agree. So I'm assuming that we're going to be seeing a Boston-Pittsburgh Eastern Conference Final, and I'm going to say
Kings and Red Wings.
Kings and Blackhawks. I have a feeling
I
have a feeling the Blackhawks could do that.
Yeah.
They could come back.
They can.
They might be winning 2-1 now, but I have a feeling that this could go to a Game 6 or 7.
Absolutely.
And the Blackhawks could take it from there.
Absolutely. I don't know which one, but as of now, I think I'm just gonna go with the Red Wings.
Well,
I love the Blackhawks too. Don't get me wrong. I like their team.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think right now, Detroit just has that little.
Yeah,
bit
they are
momentum.
They've been surprising everybody. I agree with you.
And they got depth.
Yep.
Although they finished 7th, they're a strong team. Very strong team.
Although it's tough for me to follow the playoffs after the Leafs lost. I mean, I keep forgetting that there's actually playoffs. But I think in conclusion for me on the Leafs, just to go back, I've said it to so many people and they're actually surprised. I said that I'm proud of them regardless. I mean, they shut a lot of people up. Reimer stepped up to what he could be. Just obviously things came up a little bit short, but I feel like this is a team now with what they have. They pick up in October 2013. But what you said, that defense is going to be shaping up, and I think they will pick up on it.
They need to make changes. Am I proud of them for going for Game 7? Yeah, I guess, but
I say I am because they shut everyone. Although regardless of the series, I'm not looking at what happened the collapse. I'm looking at it overall. That's why I'm gonna say I'm proud. If I had to focus on it, I'm disappointed. I can't swear. We're over. At least you saved the last 15 minutes.
Sorry for being late again.
No
guys.
worries about it. So for overtime, I'm Jose. Got that right.
And I'm Chris.
And we will see you next week.
Hello.
See ya.